Hello and welcome to part 2 of my 2-part series on self-discovery. If you have not yet checked out part 1, then you're going to definitely want to do that. So go ahead and head to the description, and there is a link in the description box. I want you to go over there and watch that first. You can watch it on like 2x speed, that's cool, but I want you to make sure that you have done that first, because I talk about some foundational things that nobody else talks about when it comes to doing the self-discovery work. Spoiler alert, the first one is about supporting you and your self-regulation. If you start to notice yourself getting agitated as you move through this work, because let's be honest, this stuff can be uncomfortable. If it were easy, everybody would be doing it, and clearly they are not. So that's going to be one of the first foundational things. And then the other cool foundational thing is that I give you a tracker so that you can put a metric on what you're going to be looking at when it comes to self-discovery, so that you can actually see what's working. That's a big problem with self-discovery, self-development, is that people are like, well, I don't know if this is really working, I'm just going to stop doing it. No, we are giving it a metric. And so that is what you will find how to do that over there in that part 1 video. So go ahead and do that now. If you did watch part 1, or if you're coming back, hi. So I am Johnna Renée. I don't know why I said my name like that, but I'm an evidence-based certified life coach who uses brain science and evidence-based techniques to help you create small, sustainable changes so that you can create new behaviors and live that #best life that you've been wanting to, but that you haven't been able to. And so what we're going to be doing today is focusing on just that. We're going to be learning more about who you are and how to actually do that. So I told you in this episode, in this series, in this video, that we're going to be going over tangible techniques, which is exactly what we're going to be doing. And I have 4 of them for you. The first one, we're going to look at your domains. So I want you to think about all of the areas of your life. And I want you to grab a piece of paper and do a brain dump. And so what I mean by that is, some domains for people are usually like career. You usually have family as a domain. I like to include self, right? Like your own like personal sense of self-development, spirituality. Some people have like community. So whatever your domains are, go ahead, put them on a piece of paper. Try not to do more than like 8. You want more than like 2 though, right? Like don't put everything in like 3 buckets or 2 or 3 buckets, but don't like give everything its own bucket kind of thing. Like find a happy medium. And so once you have those domains on your paper, then what I want you to do is give them a numeric value in terms of how important they are to you. So 1 is like, it's not important at all. 10 is, this is of the utmost importance. And so go ahead and put all of those, put the number, put that to the left. I was like, left, put that to the left of these domains. Like, so you have your domains on the paper. You're going to put how important they are to you, number of importance on the left. And note here that you could have more than 1 10. Like we're not ranking these, right? Like it's not like, well, family, like that's a 10, but friends, like I guess that's a 9. I mean, maybe that's true for you, but they can both be 10 kind of a thing. Okay. And so once you have that done, once you have all of your values, like how important they are assigned on the left, if you want to pause this video, go ahead. I'll be here when you get back. Then on the right, you are going to use same or similar ranking system. So 1 being not good, 10 being can't be any better. And you're going to rate your current level of satisfaction today, right here, right now. How satisfied are you with that domain in your life? And the reason that you are going to be doing this, we'll go ahead and do it. And then, pause if you need. But then when you're back, the reason that you're doing this is so that you can see what is of the utmost importance, right? You can see that like your family is important. You can see that your friends are important. And whenever you look at how satisfied you are with each of those domains, you can see, well, your family, like that's at like a 7, like you're pretty happy with that. But your friend, that's at like a 5. But it's as important to you, as you can see from the number on the left, the important one, the importance value. So that might be, a place to note, right? Like this is at a 5 versus if you had, let's say, spirituality as a domain, but that importance value over here on the left is like a 4. And that, current satisfaction level is also at a 5. Well, if you're going to look at something that you might want to do more with in terms of, what you want to learn more about, like yourself, like something you want to improve on, then you're probably going to go with like the more important thing with like the lesser value or like the same value. Like, see what I'm saying? So this is to help you get like a zoomed out, like objective view of what's important to you and like your current satisfaction, so that you can have a starting point where to go, so that you can know where to go when you are looking at your self-discovery. And so the reason this relates to self-discovery is because, you want to, as you're going into this, ask yourself things like, okay, what is it that would make, like, what is it that currently makes, this a 5, if we're taking it back to the friend example, right? And what would it look like to increase that? Like, how would I need to change? What kind of a person would I need to be in order to change this value and increase it in my life? See where I'm going? See where I'm going with this? See where I'm going with this? So that is going to give you a starting point, because one of the things I also spoke about, if you recall, because you watched it, I know you watched part 1 already, if you're watching this part right now. So one of the things that we spoke about is that, just saying like, I want to discover more about myself. It's what everyone sounds like in my head. I'm just kidding. It's not. But, part of the concern with that is it's like, okay, but like, what does that mean? But if you can see clearly that, oh, well, it would, mean more, it would mean a lot to me. Like, friends are important. Maybe I should discover how I could be a better friend. Maybe I should discover like, what healthy friendships look like. Maybe I could discover, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, you start to get more of an understanding of like, boom, friendship is the way to go, versus like the spirituality. It's like, I mean, it's there, I see it, but it's not as important based on my importance value over here on the left. You gotta make my L. That's not as important as the friends. See what I'm saying? Like, so that is the first practice for you, that is actually tangible. So identifying your domains and giving them a ranking. The next tangible practice that I have for you is to observe when you are your pseudo self versus when you are your solid self. And so what I mean by your pseudo self is, when are you performing for the audience in front of you? When are you a different version of yourself versus when are you most authentic self? When are you your solid self? Granted, I'm not saying that, you should go ahead and act like you act with your best friend on a Friday night. I'm not saying that you should bring that version of yourself to a meeting on Monday morning. I'm not saying that. Maybe, but that's not what we're getting at. What I am presenting this practice to you for is so that you can get an awareness of when you feel safe and when you feel authentic versus when you recognize that you're not. And so that now that you have that contrast, ensuring that you're not too far out of alignment no matter where you go, right? Like, if you are a bit different on that Monday morning meeting than you are on that Friday night, whatever you're doing, then making sure that you're still you, right? It's just maybe like a toned down version, or maybe like a more professional version. And so knowing where you have like the safe space to be yourself, and knowing when you have the opportunity and the need sometimes to present another version of yourself, and making sure that at the end of the day, both are still in alignment with your values. That is the purpose of this practice. So that is the second one. The third practice is identifying your limited beliefs. And so this is something that is super powerful, because internal narrative, you probably have just been listening to whatever the thoughts are inside of your head for so long that you don't even recognize like what they're actually saying to you. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, like that's that noise in the background kind of a thing, So identifying your limited beliefs. And so that looks like just becoming aware of when you say things like, oh, well, I can't do that, or, oh, well, that's not something, like people like me don't do that, or whatever the case may be. And this is going to serve you because you are going to, number one, now have the awareness so that you can then, number two, start to change it. Start to ask yourself, is that actually true? I have done tons of talks on the concept of limiting beliefs and how that stands in your way. And so if you are interested in those, comment below. I will send you some resources to the podcast so that you can definitely check that out. In fact, I'll go ahead and put this in the description, but that is a powerful practice because, like I said, you oftentimes are at the point where you've just always thought what you thought. And so no one's ever told you to pause and consider what you're actually thinking about. And so identifying your limited beliefs is a really important and powerful way to get to know yourself, because you could have been holding yourself back this whole time simply because you believe something that isn't even necessarily true. So that is another one. Number 3. The third one is to complete a StrengthsFinder test. One of my favorites is the VIA StrengthsFinder, and this is a free test. It identifies the majority of your, or the prominent strengths of yours out of 24 character strengths. There are a ton of different strengths assessments online. Tony Robbins has like his DISC assessment. There's a lot. Just Google. There's a lot. But the reason that this is important and helpful in terms of self-discovery is because when you are in a position where you know your strengths, then you are able to apply them. And when this happens, there has been research to show that it improves your self-confidence and improves your self-esteem, and that it's really empowering because you're like, hey, there's this thing I'm good at, like, and you get to exemplify that. You get to show that off, if you will. And I'm not saying like don't work on your weaknesses. Work on your weaknesses, like that's fine. But it can be really disheartening and discouraging when you do, because you have that limited belief that you're like, oh, this is a weakness, and I'm not good at this thing. And so that internal dialogue, I'm not good. Again, we can talk about flipping that script and rewriting that internal narrative, but that's a video for another day. And when it comes to the strengths, like I said, if you are in a position where you don't lean into strengths and you only lean into your weaknesses, then it's like getting beat up like all the time, right? So you want to, or one cool thing that you can do in order to really explore your self-discovery is to work on your strengths. And so identify them from an objective, evidence-based strengths finder. And you then can start to apply one of those strengths to see what happens, to see how it changes things, to see how it broadens your perspective and encourages you to build on your social skills and your social awareness. And so these are 4 different things that you can do to help you start to create more of an awareness about who you are. And based on the document that I shared with you last week, I want to show you what's cool about this. So as you start to do these practices, you can, if you got the tracker last week and you're practicing your baseline, so like, let's say this is where it comes into play. So let's say, you're putting in your confidence and your happiness for April. And so then it populates, average confidence and happiness is about a 4. So that's, just above, according to our key here, that's just, it's just below meh. That's just below meh. So that's not, oof. We could do some things to improve. So if you then were to say, go ahead and try out this approach to get to learn more about yourself. And let's say that you learn that, oh, humor is a strength of mine, and I'm going to set out with the goal to exemplify this at least, once a day for a week. And so you can put that in here. Like, let's say in the beginning of May, I started trying to do that, right? I took the StrengthsFinder test and made it a point to showcase my strength of humor every day. And I noted on Sunday, the first week of May. And so look, you can put in here what happens, like what stood out. Made my boss laugh. They never laugh, right? And you can start to note things like that. And I went ahead and filled this out just as an example. But what is cool is when you continue to track, take maybe 5 minutes, more like 3 every day to put in this information. You can see that, look, in May, my average confidence and happiness was a 6 for each of those, which is pretty cool because look, that's a significant increase from April. And whenever you are utilizing this tracker and you're putting in things like what stood out, you can see, oh, well, Sunday, I started doing the StrengthsFinder test. And maybe on the second week, you tried another one of your strengths. And you could start to see maybe on the third, you tried another one. And you could also, again, put in these notes like you made their boss laugh, or you helped, someone resolve a conflict, or whatever the case may be. But that is the beauty of this tracker, and how it helps you understand and discover what it is that's working for you when it comes to these things like, self-discovery and self-improvement and self-help. So that is what I have for you for this week. I am super excited to hear what your thoughts are. Comment below and let me know which practice you're going to try. Oh, and here's a pro tip about the practices. Like they're all super fun. But if you are wanting to try like all 4, awesome. I love that. And also, I recommend that you try 1 for a week. Once you start to get the hang of that, okay, cool. I'm going to try another one for a week. Cool. Another, see what I'm saying? So it's about a month-long process in that sense for you to actually try and apply each of these practices. And that's not to slow you down. That is to set you up for success, because if you tried all of these at once, like that's a lot, right? Like I'm looking at my domains and I'm trying to work on my relationship with my friends. And also like I'm trying to be funny every day. And then like I've got to, check out what my limited beliefs are. Like I've got to like check off that box. Like what limited beliefs did I have today? Like that's a lot, right? That's a lot for anyone. It's a lot for me. So make sure that you are moving through these one at a time. And then what you will notice after you have had a week alone with each of these is that you will start to be able to pull them out of your toolbox as they serve you, right? So maybe one day you're like, I feel like leaning into my humor today. Like that would probably serve me today. And then maybe another day it's like, oh, I realize this limited belief. Let me put that in my what stood out cell of the tracker, right? So that is what you are doing here. That is the purpose of that. And that is what I suggest. So with that, let me know which of these practices you're going to try first by commenting it down below. And let me know if you have any questions. I'm here. Your coach. I'm here to serve. So let me know how I can do that. And yeah, I will see you for our next training next week. And it's going to be about self-acceptance. So I will see you then. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to be alerted whenever that is live. And in the meantime, if you need anything, like I said, just comment and I will see you then. Bye.